Don't listen to me.
Oh,
Listen,
here we
don't
go.
listen to me because I might be wrong.
Because I
You're
think
not wrong.
Jesus was part of the plan from before creation. Right? I mean, I think that's what I would think.
Well, God knows everything, so He already knew everything that was going to happen. He knew that we were going to have this conversation right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation.
Well,
See,
'cause
God just knew we were just going to constantly have this conversation over and over again.
God is eternal because the conversation keeps happening. Case in point, you guys just make this kind of too easy for me. I'm sorry.
The lack of free will that we got going on, we keep having this conversation.
Shit. I can't bring it into free will. Oh, no. That's something entirely different. I mean, you all volunteered to come into this room, so...
fuck everything up.
Yeah, but God knew we were going to come into this room.
Well, God knew we were going to fuck everything up.
Well, not only did He know we were going to come into this room, but He knew which situations that we would make the choice to come into this room. So He set up every scenario that ultimately led us to this point.
I don't know if I should
Hypothetically speaking, for the atheist, I guess.
I thank him or ring his neck. I don't know.
God forbid we're actually speaking in truth and reality. God forbid we're speaking in reality. Let's keep it
God
hypothetical,
forbid
please.
that we had free will in the Christian worldview.
There's no free will in Christian worldview.
No free will in Christian worldview.
I don't think so.
Freedom exists because of Christianity.
Well, hold on. I should rephrase.
Glasses.
It's not free will in the way there's a pseudo free will from our perspective, but there's not one in the grand scheme of things.
Yep.
Is what I'm trying to say. If you're going off of a Christian,
No, I'm just laughing at Sam. He cleans his glasses the way I do.
I would say when you say, can you repeat that what you said, Matt? Because I just want to make sure I had you clear.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I said there is free will in a Christian view. Well, in the majority of Christian views, when you're looking at it from a human perspective, a limited human perspective. But in the grand scheme of things,
you should see what happened in Airfell stream.
Hold up, Wiley. Go ahead, Methon. So in the grand scheme of things...
Yeah. From a human perspective, you have free will, but ultimately it's a pseudo free will because everything is controlled by God. Because He is an omni-God, has a divine plan.
Do you think it's...
If we accept that God is love and that it is human beings who are to respond to this love, the explanation is simple. Love cannot be forced, ordered, or made obligatory. It is necessarily free. If God liberates, it's because He expects us and hopes that we will come to know Him and love Him.
It ain't free.
And yeah.
Why would a God hope? That means it's odd.
Well,
what do you mean it ain't free?
No, hold on. So with that, you can freely go to
love
God
is
and love Him.
Love is freedom. Like if you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, the love is true. So God gives us freedom because He loves us and He wants us to love Him because we choose to, not because we're forced to.
I have a hard time in that.
So
cost. There's a cost.
I don't think I agree with that, but yeah. I think I explained that in the side chat with you, P. Mars. I can't remember what I said, but going back to Matt, do you think that there is only one ultimate choice, or two, or three, or more?
Well, there's multiple choices, but being that He's an omni-God and He knows what you're going to choose before you choose it, He knows all possible choices or decisions you're going to make. He can set up the situations that's ultimately going to be for His glory and His will. So while there may be multiple choices, you're going to be put in situations where the outcome is already known.
Okay.
So you did choose, but the outcome was known and you were put there for a reason. And that's for the glory of God, right?
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things. But from your perspective, it's you made the choice. But it's from his perspective, you really never technically had a choice in the matter.
Choice of what?
I would agree with you. Yeah, I don't think I had a choice in what I believe because I fought hard. Well, I guess maybe that fits in because I didn't think I believed what I did until I realized that I was denying it.
Denying it. I have no clue what you guys are talking
Wait,
about.
are you talking about feelings?
They're talking
With
something
belief,
about their
I
God.
believe.
Something about their God. That they can believe that, sure. Doesn't mean I have to. You could be governed by that.
Oh, Keyblade Destroyer.
You want to believe in the Christian God and its Bible, then you and your family and the people that you know that believe in it should be governed by it. I think you're right, and I think you should do that. But don't make anyone else, or don't force anyone else to be governed by it who doesn't believe in it.
I think there's. Sorry.
Exactly.
No, I don't think
I would
that's
say
fair because the system of government was created and will only function with a religious nation. It will, if you have an atheist nation, the system that we have.
All right, end of conversation.
Fail.
Thank you. I'm leaving. I'll see you later.
Okay,
You're fucking wrong.
I'm
You're
not
fucking wrong.
What I was gonna say is he said something that I didn't agree. The only word that Geo Sam said, and I'll see you later, Geo Sam. Thank you for stopping by. The only thing I didn't agree with was want, because again, when I came looking for religion, I didn't want religion, and I don't even call it religion because I think religion is a set of practices that people follow. I don't think I follow a set of practices, so I don't think I have religion. But it's that want aspect of it, and I didn't want to believe in God. It just happened to me. If that makes sense, I didn't want to.
Can I respond to that real quick?
Go ahead.
So you didn't want to, right? But it happened. Now, I mean, from your perspective, you didn't want it to happen, but can God use people for certain reasons? Can God sacrifice people? Can God use them to influence others for his will?
I would say change it to a can to a does, and then because I feel that I would feel that way about me.
Okay.
Yeah, change that can to a does. I would say he does, and if I'm not evident enough, then I don't know what else is. From my own perspective, of course.
Is it possible that God led you down a road where, even though you didn't want to, he led you down the road to where you decided that you wanted to follow him and believe in him?
Could God have led me down a road?
Yeah.
That's unknowable. Because the only reason why it's unknowable is because I was
Well, I didn't ask if he knew he did it. I asked, is it possible that he could have done that?
Well, anything's possible given circumstances that you don't know, sure.
Okay.
It's too bad GeoSam left. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I would have liked to have talked to him about why he thought that one shouldn't try to impose their religious beliefs on others. I would think that the only reason to do that would be because he thinks it's a good thing to do. And I would guess that he's deriving that based on his religious beliefs. So him trying to impose on others, not to impose on others, I think is a religiously based moral that he has. I don't know.
Many are called, few answer to call.
Yeah, I guess I didn't catch that from him, but I mean, I don't have a problem with people trying to, tell me about their beliefs, or I guess quote unquote imposing them. Well, just like preaching to me.
Well, I think it, like, why are religious people in a special position?
I think well, the reason this country's so screwed up is because they're not teaching Christianity in the schools, and they got these immoral Black Lives Matter burning everything to the ground.
Okay, bigot. How about you shut your mouth?
Hold up. I will say that he's technically is being a bigot, because even in the Bible, it's stated that when the other tribes or whatever, not the Israelites, but the other people were doing shit. God commanded them to go down and burn the cities and burn everything down. So in a sense, the riots are happening because if they're starting fires, they're doing things that are biblical. Just saying.
Do you teach gymnastics class? I'll be right back.
They're being indoctrinated by the communists who infiltrated the public education
Wow,
system.
you're an idiot.
People like
I would just like
John
to say
Dewey. John Dewey
God
created the Dewey
damn.
Decimal System. He was a member of this
The
Fabian
Dewey Decimal
Society.
System is communism.
Yeah, he was a
Dewey
member of the
Decimal
Fabian
System.
Society. You know what that is?
The what?
The
The
Fabian
fucking
Society.
library.
The Fabian?
The Fabian Society.
The Fabio Society? What?
The
What are you talking
Fabian
about?
Society. I'm talking about the communists that infiltrated the public school system in America, like through John Dewey is a good example of which he created the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah, you said that
And
already.
he was a member of the Fabian Society, which their
For
goal
the
was
10th time, yeah.
Okay, guys, come on, don't interrupt.
implementation of socialism, and they've done that through indoctrinating a socialistic communist BS in the American education system. Subversion.
Well, it's good to see the education system work so well for you.
So, anyways,
Oh,
yeah.
exactly.
No, I think Geo Sam was more or less saying that like people trying to force religion on people, not just praying, just be like, hey, this is my religion, and blah blah blah. No, he's talking about like, hey, you're going to follow this religion or else.
Well, where, like,
No.
I mean, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know. I guess in my area where I'm at, I don't know where people are trying to force their religion. I guess it would depend on what you mean, what he meant by that, or what you mean by that.
That is a good opinion. How do you force one's of religion and beliefs onto
I mean,
somebody?
because I don't have anyone telling me, I have to do.
Well,
certain
you got
things.
these Christians in the government that are trying to eliminate Planned Parenthood, and because of their
Well, I
religion, they
mean-
believe.
I would
I
say
don't think it's
both
'cause of their
both
religion.
sides have people who force things on each other about things they believe in. Honestly,
I may
Yeah.
have
I think-
misheard you, Anonymous. He said that everybody does that.
as I said that everybody on both sides to force their kind of religion or belief on.
See, it's actually a good thing. Okay, so when people come to America, it would be a good thing for us to force our way of life on them. Like, it's not right for Africans to come here and act like they do in their African country where there's no rules. You're supposed to make people adapt to your culture and your way of life, but because they want to destroy America, they've indoctrinated these fools to think it's wrong to force your ways on people. So just everyone immigrate to America and fucking set Wendy's on fire. It's cool.
There is some on both sides of the coin. So
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think, yeah.
I think religious people are often singled out as doing that, but everybody does that.
Mhm.
We do it for the same reasons. We think that life would be better in a particular world, and so we strive for that world. And it doesn't matter if we're Christian or not Christian or however we identify. We're going to try to bring other people around to our view or enforce our view when we think that that is right. And I don't think that that's a special thing that religious people do. I think everyone does that.
You're victims of ideology. It doesn't matter what ideology you choose. It's all propaganda.
The French sociologist Jacques Ellul wrote a book called Propaganda. And the little banner under which his book flew, which is printed right on the frontispiece, is he says, there are no political solutions, only technological ones. The rest is propaganda. And then he spends 200 pages explaining what he means by political solutions, technological solutions, and propaganda. By Ellul's understanding, I agree. I think ideology is toxic. All ideology. It's not that there are good ones and bad ones. All ideology is toxic because ideology is a kind of insult to the gift of human free thinking. I mean, if you adopt some ideology, Leninism, Mormonism, it doesn't matter, then you have all the answers. You just go and look in the catechism. Well, I don't know why they issued you a brain. They could have just given you the catechism. Technology, as the counterpoint to ideology, is a very different animal. There are ideas, personalities, technologies available right now which, if honestly explored and implemented, could rescue the human enterprise from the disgrace that hovers over us. And it's up to each one of us to relate to this situation in a fashion that will allow us to answer the question that will surely be put to us in some point in the future, which is, what did you do to help save the world?
That's an interesting ideology you have there.
Yeah, that makes Christian ideology propaganda.
Yep.
Thank you. So
Well,
I believe
everything
in
anybody
propaganda.
says
Of
is
course it
propaganda.
is. The Christian church was also subverted by the Freemasons. You can look at the document, the Alta Vendetta, goes over
Oh
it.
my
The
fucking
Freemasonic
God.
plan to infiltrate the Christianity and water it down.
More conspiracy.
Yeah,
More
so
conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy. There's a document called
So
the
wait,
Alta
let me
Vendetta.
It
let
is
me
a conspiracy.
It's
P.
not
Mars.
a conspiracy. The
The
Pope,
You got the
Freemasons
wrong
were
document. I
deists.
think you're supposed to be
It's not a
talking about the
conspiracy.
Illuminati.
Were
It's
deists.
not
I
a
think you're supposed to be
conspiracy.
talking about the Illuminati.
It's not a conspiracy. There's a book published by the Pope called the Alta Vendetta that they intercepted one of these letters that these Freemasons were writing, talking about. Why are you laughing?
Because you're a joke.
Why?
This shit is ridiculous.
Why?
okay, can I make a point back to what originally you're talking about?
Yeah.
go
About
ahead.
I don't understand why is that ridiculous?
Go, Matt.
Because I
Hold up,
mean,
yeah.
there's legitimate thing, the Alta Vendetta. You can look it up. I mean, I'm not
Mute that.
Hold up.
Mute
pulling
that.
shit out of my fucking
Okay,
ass.
hold on.
link it in the side chat, P Mars.
Okay.
Go ahead,
I'll read
Matt.
about it.
Go ahead.
So, like me personally, I think religious and non-religious people. I don't think they're trying to. Well, I don't think it's necessarily trying to force your religion on people, but I think it's trying to incorporate different aspects of what you believe. So, I mean, from a non-believer's perspective, it may look like Christians are trying to enforce some of their beliefs on you, but from a Christian perspective, it may seem like the non-believers trying to enforce their beliefs on them. So I mean, it happens on both sides, but I don't think it's necessarily enforcing their religion. I
Oh,
just think
dude, you use Wikipedia
enforcing.
as a source. Okay.
I think it's just forcing aspects of their beliefs.
And I would say, like,
What's
you said
wrong?
something.
What's wrong with using Wikipedia as a source?
It's
Wikipedia's
something
not.
we were told
It's
not to do in high school because other people could go in and edit it at any point in time. So it's not a
Yeah.
really good
They
system to
can't. They
use.
can't do that anymore.
They can.
Yes, they
They
can.
still can.
No, they can't.
I can do that right now. I can go. Oh,
No,
okay.
you can't. They changed
Yes, I
it.
can.
No,
I'm about
they
to.
changed.
I'm about,
Okay. But
I'll show
can't.
you. I will show
They
you.
changed that.
But I would say,
If you
see how
question the
P. Mars-
source, you know what you can do? You could
P.
look
Mars
into
is
it for
horseshit.
yourself.
P. Mars is horseshit.
Wikipedia is not.
I was wrong about that. I heard someone talking about that you couldn't edit Wikipedia anymore, but I guess that's only for certain pages. So, and then certain accounts are allowed to edit. Yeah. So I was wrong about that. I was like, I thought I guess it's only for certain pages that you can't edit. Anyways.
I won't. Hold up. Pause, guys. I won't question the sources from Wikipedia, but I will question Wikipedia itself. Is that fair to say? I will say that much.
Am I talking?
Morning star, morning star,
not-
morning
it's-
star, morning star, morning
It's
star.
not a
morning
credible
star.
source.
thought they
People
changed
looking
that.
into this.
Doesn't
I
I
matter.
refresh it and it's still up there. I refresh it and it's still up there.
Yeah, I've refreshed it about 10 times.
Oh,
and it's
now
still
it
there.
doesn't matter. Now it doesn't matter.
It never mattered.
In the end, it doesn't even matter.
So there you go.
Why does it
Just to
matter?
prove a point that Wikipedia is
It's
not
still,
a
it's still,
not
it's
a
still a
source.
real thing.
That's why we don't use WikiLeaks.
Mm,
I will say though,
I use Wikipedia.
Exactly.
Don't use
I will say
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia can be.
I think you should use Wikipedia. I think you were being really stupid.
Wikipedia can be a good place to start looking at sources that they link, but I mean beyond that, I don't think it's much. You know, at the bottom.
Here's the thing about sources. I mean, fucking, what source is legitimate? Like, you could have problems with whatever source you come up with. There's gonna be problems with it, you know. So, I don't know. There's no way to determine what the truth is really in an objective fashion where we can all agree upon it. So, fuck it, dude. Use Wikipedia, dude. Like, even if you get verified sources, these people, it doesn't matter because people still won't believe you. So I used to waste time trying to find good sources and shit, but it's not a really good way to win an argument because they can always rationalize that your source is like fucked. So it's better just to use, I guess, logical arguments rather than trying to find evidence to support what you're saying. I feel like just hit him with like simple truth that it's hard to argue against simple truths.
The stuff you probably didn't read.
Exactly. Yeah. My fucking microphone was down, and I've been talking this whole goddamn time. That is pissing me off. I'm like, why is everyone being rude as shit and talking the fuck over me? What the fuck? Jesus, I was getting pissed there.
Anybody know where Tog is? Anybody know where Tog is?
Oh my god.
He's been quiet.
Weekend at the Bidens.
Welcome, Bro Joe. I said that. I don't think you heard me, but welcome, Bro Joe.
Thanks.
Whew, I apologize, but yeah, I that's one of the reasons why I don't use Wikipedia. Like, I'll use it, but then I'll check the sources. I'm not gonna lie, I use Wikipedia too. I use it too. Everyone's guilty. Everyone's guilty. We just like pointing the finger.
I don't really give a shit about sources because when you have sources, people don't even care. So.
You make that very obvious.
I have a question about
I can have all the sources to back up everything I say, but it's like you're so angry at your parents and stuff that you can't.
What do you think
just
of Red?
unwilling to see the truth. Also, Bertrand Russell.
I have a question for P. Mars.
Hey, wait a fucking minute.
Wait a minute. Wait a 10 seconds. Hold up. There's 10 people here, P. Mars. P. Mars, hold up. Mod talking. Or not mod, but owner, channel, whatever the fuck it's called.
The boss.
You say that, but you have to specify who you're talking to. Because you got to define, because I'm not mad at my parents. That doesn't justify what you said to me. So whom is mad at the parents? Are you mad at your parents? Did your parents do something to you? Did they make you angry? Do they not believe in God?
I love my parents. They're pretty cool.
Is one of your parents, do you call them God? Because I call God my father.
I'm sorry for abandoning you.
I have a question for P. Mars.
Go ahead, Wiley. Feel answer.
So, is the Catholic Church Christian?
I would say yes.
Well, I mean, it depends. In my opinion,
The Roman Catholic Church.
In my opinion, no. I would say no.
Well, that just cuts about $1 billion off of the Christian Christian
I was
Science.
raised.
Islam for the win. Wait, Islam's already winning,
I
isn't
was
it?
raised
Yeah.
Catholic, and I think like all these churches have gone against what Jesus taught.
Wow, am I talking to a stoner Iger?
Jesus even mentioned about how all these hypocrites would use his name and he wouldn't know them. He says that. So
Have you heard of the true fallacy?
I can understand in a way why you're turned off by Christianity, because I was. Because
Wiley's a Christian.
modern Christians are totally weak and cowardly.
You're talking to a rock.
Uh-oh.
Oh damn.
Why am I
Todd?
turned off by it?
You're weak and cowardly.
Well, yes, of course I'm weak. I need God. I need Jesus. Everyone who needs Jesus is weak. Why else would we come to him? We're the sick. We need to be saved. That's the whole point of Jesus. If you don't need Jesus, then you're not sick. Jesus came to heal the sick. If you're good, what do you need Jesus for? You should be doing the right thing already.
How can we say Catholics are not Christians? They're like the first Christians.
They're like
Yeah.
they're the most.
Christians,
They need Jesus the most. No, that's terrible. They need
Yeah,
Jesus
I just
the most.
ordered 2 books by Jacques Ellul. He's this French theologian / philosopher. One is about subversion of the Christianity, and the
shit what
other
other
is
people
anarchy and Christianity.
Wait, what century? One century.
1960.
When were the books written apart from each other?
I don't know.
Well, I would ask when they were. Ooh, Wiley. I would ask how far apart they were written from each other, and if the person changed theological positions when writing the books, because these are just things we need to know. Because he could have held one opinion when writing a book, and then changed his position and wrote another. We just don't know that, and I need that information. Richard says, P. Mars, could you please tell me how you know that you are reading the words of Christ correctly?
He doesn't.
Well,
that's a good question. I think.
Hold up, P. Mars, your microphone's. It sounds like you're talking away from your mic. So could you please repeat what you said?
I think he was slowly backing away from that.
I just said that's a good question, and I guess it's something that like you probably always struggle with because.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen
How
to
do you
that,
know-
brother.
How do you know you're reading the words of Christ?
See, I don't put much faith in the Bible. I try to have a personal connection to God, and I do that through like I sit there in silence and I try to observe my thoughts and realize that I'm not my thoughts. And so when you set yourself apart from your thoughts, who you think you are, it helps you. Well, no, I just try to get to know myself because God designed me.
Are you sure you're not praying to Buddha?
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Hold on. Guys, let him finish. Let him finish now. Come on, please.
So, like in our minds, we create these identities and images of ourselves that are not the real, who we really are, and then you sit in silence and you try and separate that from who you, the way God designed you. That's how you like connect to God, or I connect to God.
I can feel you on that. Do you come online for outside validation? And what you believe is what I'm saying. The only reason why I say that is because how can you tell your own biases from your, how you can discern the Holy Spirit from your own biases? And I struggle with that. So I understand what you're talking about. I really do.
Yeah, that's something I think that's like when Immanuel Kant talked about that, right? Where we all have this, like, we view objective reality through our rose-tinted glasses or whatever. But I think having faith is about accepting things the way they are. Because when you have a belief, like even if you have evidence to back up your belief, you have a justified true belief, that creates a bias in itself, right? And you're trying to make reality be the way you want it to be. But as we see science advances and we learn new things, some things get thrown out the window that people believed in so much with all this evidence, and then it wasn't true. So with faith, it's about accepting things the way they are, and it helps you see truth because you're not trying to make reality fit into your bias.
Are there biases in science?
Yeah. Everyone has a bias. Like, it's not like I think you can eliminate your bias, but I think people of faith, that's what faith is about eliminating your bias. You know, it's like when God asked Abraham to kill his son, obviously he had a bias where he didn't want to do that because naturally everyone would, but he accepted things the way they were, and he was about willing to kill his son because he had so much faith in God.
Well, hold up.
God
Go
told
ahead,
me,
Red Fang. One
if
at a
God
time.
told me,
Red Fang first. Go ahead. Who was next? Hold up. Let me clarify that. Who was next? Who spoke with Red Fang? All right. I guess it was just Red Fang. Red Fang, you go.
I was just going to ask Mars if he can define faith, because usually varies from person to person.
Thank you. I was gonna define that too. Thank you. But Red Fang, you go. We'll wait for that afterwards.
if God told me to kill my son, I would tell him to kiss my ass. I would tell him I'm not going to follow God that wants me to kill my son.
What if he asks you hard?
He could ask me as hard as he wanted. He could strike me with lightning. I still wouldn't do it.
You cannot invent justified truth only from outside your experience in life. That requires another. So I don't think I would disagree with that. Maybe I said something that, but I wouldn't say a conscious mind. I get what he's saying, but yes.
Addressing what Red Fang said there, I think that people often underestimate the experience that somebody like Abraham's having when they're hearing God speak to them, because it's not just a voice in their head, but at the same time as having that voice in their head, there is this knowledge that it's true. And I think if you have that knowledge that something is true, you're going to act according to it.
Yeah, he had some mental issues, and his voices in his head told him to kill his son, and then they told him not to do it.
How do you know that?
Well, you're the one talking about voices in the head. That means he was mentally ill.
I don't think so. No, you don't hear your own voice in your head.
I mean, I'm hearing verses in my head right now, when it's you guys. Just saying.
Yeah.
I must
very
be
natural.
insane.
That's the way the brain works. We process language through
He's
sound.
still by me.
Motherfucker,
leave.
But it seems like quite a claim to say that he must have been insane.
He's still by me.
So how do we determine the difference between the voices in his head and God's voice?
Well, I think it would be very difficult to prove God in any context, to prove that he was there or was not there in any sense, because he's such a large and expansive being. But I think what would determine how you respond to it is what you believe, right?
I have another question for P. Mars after you're finished, Tug.
I would say that what you describe as faith is more or less action-based. So it's an action-based faith, and I know a lot of Christians won't agree with me with this because they believe, that no works is required for faith. But if God is working, then we must work with the Lord too. And the work in the Lord includes the Spirit, because God is a spirit. So then we consult to the Holy Spirit, which is there to guide us in everything that Nicholas was saying about belief, I believe. It's those key spirits that guide us when it comes to God, which looks like logic, but in a sense, it's the Spirit that guides us. But not to say that logic is something that we use as well, because logic comes from the mind.
Well, now I want to ask P. Mars a question.
Go ahead.
So, P. Mars, what do you think of Galileo Galilei and the heliocentric model?
It's an interesting story about how the church tried to suppress knowledge, threw him in the dungeon because he questioned the dogma at the time, which was that the sun revolved around the earth. I guess I believe in the heliocentric model. If that's what you're asking, I'm not a flat earther.
Heliocentric model. Oh my gosh. It's like
excuse
400
me.
years ago.
Hey, did you know the Pope actually liked Galileo and supported his theory?
Yeah, I was going to point out that the way that P. Mars related that story, it's clear he only knows popular conceptions about that. It certainly was not.
I never said I was an expert or anything on it.
Sure. Yeah. The people in the church were investigating heliocentrism at the time. So it certainly was not that. It was to do with inflammatory statements against the church and the Pope. At which, when that's your government, that makes sense. It's kind of like if you're making threats against the president, you're going to have the Secret Service show up at your door.
Yeah, I think that idea first started and during the Enlightenment that Galileo was persecuted by the church. If I'm correct, either that or it's like the late 1800s.
Well, he's placed in house arrest. House arrest.
Oh yeah, he was, but there was reasons for that.
Benghazi says house arrest isn't a dungeon.
I'm personally not a fan of science, though. Like, I think it was created to control people think when it's true or not.
Have you seen the Catholic Church in its early days?
Right.
Have a good one. To biology and all that.
Yes, Christian religion was used to do something similar in the past, but science is going to be used to do the same thing in the future. And it's already got stuff like you guys are talking about original sin. Well, we have if you're born white, apparently that's a sin because you're just automatically racist based on these stupid scientific studies that are just beyond retarded. And then there's global warming, has the original sin of your carbon footprint. So we see a lot of similarities between religion and what science is doing now.
Like you defined faith, could you please define what you mean by science?
What I mean by science would be it's the study of the natural world.
Okay, but that doesn't seem like what you're talking about when you said that this thing was developed in order to keep people from thinking freely or to brainwash them or something.
Exactly. Well, and the Catholic Church, I mean, in an ideal world, the Catholic Church wasn't designed to molest little children, but unfortunately, in the real world, that's what happens. In science, yeah, it was designed to be against dogma, but in the real world, human corruption, money, things happen, science becomes corrupt, and now it's being used to control and dominate the human minds.
Isn't there corruption in every single group there is? So you can't just say the Catholic Church just because one group. It's just about every group has something like that within it.
That's fair. I was gonna say in Egyptian mythology, the priest would add in the buy-in, pay for your sins, to get a good place in the afterlife. The priest added that. That was never a part of the original Egyptian thing.
I would assume you'd learn about Egyptian religion from Egyptian priests.
Yes. From their writings.
It just seems a little strange that things like the study of the natural world could be corrupted in order to control people's minds.
Really?
I certainly feel the same way about academia, but I wouldn't call that science. So I just find the language a little bit confusing.
Are you familiar with Dwight Eisenhower's farewell address?
I don't think so.
Did you know Dwight Eisenhower was racist?
Okay. Well, he warned about the domination of science-based public policy by what he called the scientific technological elite. And Aldous Huxley warned about scientific dictatorships in the novel Brave New World. So, yeah, I think like you see it with this lockdown and the pandemic, you can see the scientific dictatorship because it's being used to justify like checkpoints now and all this stuff that we thought was relics of, Nazi Germany or East Germany are coming back because of science and saving people for the pandemic.
I don't think that. I just think that just have precautions so that the virus doesn't kill everyone in an entire continent. So.
Well,
We
but
didn't.
those-
We couldn't hear you
those
well.
precautions do involve directly manipulating people, like telling people, "Oh, you don't need a C95 mask." But the real reason why they're telling people that is because they didn't want to have a shortage of C95 masks, N95 or whatever they're called. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I do not, because I stepped
Yeah,
out.
they're telling
Yeah,
people
I know what you're talking about.
cloth masks will keep them safe, and it's just like insane. It's like hey, wear a silly hat, and it'll keep you safe from a virus.
Well, it does help, but the what I'm referring to is there's that specific, what is it, N95 or C95? I forget what it's called, mask.
N95.
N95, yeah. And months ago, when they're like, okay, this is a pandemic, it's hitting the world, like Fauci and that was like, oh, you don't need a mask, and you find out months later, he comes out like on the record saying, well, yeah, of course it would have helped. And I said it didn't help, but the reason why we said it didn't help was so that people wouldn't go out and buy them because we didn't want there to be a shortage. So that would be a good example of using scientific authority or academic authority to manipulate people.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd agree
Indeed.
That is a fair point.
Fauci admitted that he lied to, save the resources for the first responders.
Yeah.
Well, guys, just to let you know, I'm going to end this in about less than 3 minutes. So, if you guys would like to continue talking, you're more than welcome to, but just know I'm going to end this. I think my wife would like me to eat dinner before it gets cold.
Well,
So,
a person I
will
would
do
recommend going to afterwards, if he's still up, would be
Beta
Aeropel.
male.
What?
How am I a beta male when I want to go eat dinner my wife made for me?
Because
And I have a wife.
You're such a simp.
Because the way you phrased it, my wife's telling me to eat dinner.
She isn't. Fair
I
point.
tell you to eat dinner.
No, she didn't. I just said that because I know she's eating. She's listening right now, so I just said that because she gave me a look, but she said it without saying it. Kind of like how Sarah laughed without laughing in the Bible.
She's ringing the bell.
She's not.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the eighth wonder of the world, the flow of the century, always timeless. Oh, thank you for coming out tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. For shizzle, my nizzle used to dribble down in VA. Was hurting them in the home of the turbans. Got it dirt cheap for them. Plus, if they were short with cheese, I would work with them. More than we got rid of that dirt for them. Wasn't born hustlers, I was birthing them. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. For sheezy, my kneesy, keep my arms so breezy. Can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. Haters want me clapped and chrome, it ain't easy. Cops wanna knock me, DA wanna box me in, but somehow I beat them charges like Rocky. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. Not guilty, he who does not feel me is not real to me, therefore he doesn't exist, so poof. Vamoose, son of a bitch. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. For shizzle, my nizzle used to dribble down in VA. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. That's the anthem, get your damn hands up. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. Not guilty, y'all got to feel me. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. Yo, it starts with one thing. I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind, I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away and it's so unreal. I didn't look out below, I watched the time go right out the window, trying to hold on and didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried. So H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy.